Now, the last thing I want to talk about, which I think is really interesting to kind of go back to the Wizards and the Go-Go, is the last two-way spot. There's speculation about what's kind of going on there. I have a few theories that could happen. So my first theory is I think they could be leaving that spot for Jared Butler. Right now, the Wizards are at 16 players. They're at 15 guaranteed, 1 non-guaranteed, which is Jared Butler. I'm really high on Jared, quite honestly. I think he's a guy you want to keep in your franchise. Kind of like that Udonis Haslem, maybe like Anthony Go. I do think he is a player that could also be really good for the young guys. And I think he's gone through some really big adversity in his life. If you don't know, you should read about him. I think he had a heart condition, and just about how he's talked about it in interviews and like how he's kind of navigated that process. It's really nice to see how he's able to be open about just his adversities and that he's navigated in his life. And I think something like that, I think could also be important as a veteran, and I think I could see him being that type of player in his career. So that being said, I think, and I don't think this is ideal for him or his agent, we sign him and put him on a two-way contract, the last spot. But then maybe when they let go or trade Jonas Valanciunas or some of the other guys on the roster, then hopefully they're able to re-sign him, and hopefully maybe for more of a guaranteed deal. But we'll kind of see what happens there. Some Wizards reporters are thinking maybe they'll cut Patrick Baldwin Jr., potentially Anthony Gill, or maybe even Johnny Davis. So we'll kind of see what happens there if they're able to trade one of those guys. But I don't know if they can trade Gill. I'm not too sure because he signed just this recently in the summer. But Baldwin Jr., Johnny Davis, maybe one of those two could get traded. But I don't know if they have a lot of value on the market, so not too sure if they'll be getting traded or not, but we'll kind of see. Another option to that two-way spot is they could keep it open and see who gets cut, after all the training camps, with all the other NBA teams, and then sign one of those guys to that last spot. The Wizards are going through a rebuild. They're not afraid to go and look for guys that are diamonds in the rough, and quite honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they go after a guy from another NBA team who gets cut off his two-way and try to develop him like they kind of have. That's kind of what they did with Justin. They signed him outside of Wizards. He was with the Heat's G League team this past year, and then they brought him in around February on a two-way. And for that last two-way spot, I think one option could be signing Taylor Funk. Now, Taylor Funk had a really good summer league. He had, I think, 30 points in his last summer league game. He's a guy traded from the Maine Celtics in December. I kind of think, like we've been talking about, Jules Bernard not getting a contract till his second year with the Go-Go, Jordan Goodwin, Taylor, I think could follow that trend, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe later this year, maybe if they do have Jared on that two-way and they move him to a regular roster spot, maybe Taylor Funk does get that two-way spot from Jared, and kind of like we've been talking about, they follow this trend of these second-year players getting that two-way spot. So I'd be curious to see what happens there. That's one option too.